But while the class of 2000 looks for direction, there's no question about the direction of tonight's other important subject, the big hurricane called Fran. This large, slow-moving, especially wet storm is battering the East Coast with sustained 115-mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to 140, and it's not over. Tens of thousands are without power throughout the Carolinas, and emergency officials now say they fear the entire city of Wilmington, North Carolina, may lose power. Correspondent John Roberts is there. Let's see if we can get him up on the satellite. John?
Dan, Hurricane Fran has returned to Wilmington with a vengeance. The eye just kind of grazed us about an hour ago, but now the hurricane-force winds are back again. And while the rain isn't as intense as it was as the front side of the hurricane came in, you can eerily hear in the background metal blowing around, so Hurricane Fran is still wreaking havoc on Wilmington. It's been a wild night of wind and rain and waves on the coast, and there is going to be some damage in this city, and particularly along the coastal areas. In the next 48 hours, the damage teams will be out to assess that. They'll be trying to get the power back on as soon as they can. We'll take a little roam around the town as morning starts to break, and on the morning show tomorrow, on This Morning, we'll bring you an update on exactly the toll that this hurricane took on this city and on North Carolina. Dan?
Thanks, John, and we'll hope that the wind and rain that remains doesn't get the rest of your satellite truck. John Roberts in Wilmington, North Carolina. For a look at where the storm is headed now, we turn again to our CBS News consultant, one of the world's best meteorologists, Brian Norcross, at our CBS station in Miami. Brian?
Dan, the eye of the storm just now passing by to the northeast of Wilmington. We do have some scattered reports in now from the coastal sections. Wrightsville Beach, the only word is extensive damage from Wrightsville Beach. An unconfirmed confirmed tornado at Topsail Beach, which is just up the coast a little bit. And 10 feet of water reported on one of the highways outside of Wilmington from the flooding up the Cape Fear River. And now the bad weather, the real bad weather, has moved north, and we have flood warnings in effect for parts of North Carolina, in Wayne County, North Carolina, and I suspect we'll have more of that as these major rain bands with up to 10, maybe 12 inches of rain slowly move north out of North Carolina into Virginia and points north as we head toward the weekend.
And Brian, what's the outlook for points north of Virginia?
Well, I think that the system is going to hold together well enough that the rain package will essentially move north, and when the rain hits the Appalachian Mountains, we'll have something reminiscent of Hurricane Agnes back in 1972, perhaps not that bad, which was one of the worst floods we ever had in this country, but it is going to be a very bad situation.
Thanks, Brian. Now, for the latest on Hurricane Fran, stay tuned for your late local news. Check out Up to the Minute overnight on this CBS station, and this morning, first thing tomorrow. And as always, we'll have complete coverage on the CBS Evening News.
There is other news tonight. Time has run out for more than 500,000 East Coast residents forced from their homes by Hurricane Fran. Fran is steadily blowing through North Carolina with wind gusts up to 120 miles an hour. Her path is easy to track. Even driving rain can't camouflage the destruction suffered in southern cities like Wilmington. Fran wavered only for a moment when she hit land and veered east a bit, sparing Myrtle Beach from total devastation. Even still, it will be morning before a true picture of Hurricane Fran's fury can be seen. Our new NexRad weather technology is being put to the test in the Carolinas. Chief Meteorologist Jim Little is in South Carolina tonight. He joins us live with an update on how well our system tracks major storms. Jim?
Well, Ken, the winds have died down considerably here from earlier this evening. We have some light rain still falling, but I'd guess the winds are probably not stronger than about 15 to 25 miles an hour right now, although they just kicked up just as we came on the air. It has been an interesting day following the storm as it moved up the Carolina coast and tracking it on NexRad radar. The full brunt of Hurricane Fran hit the Carolinas tonight. NexRad tracked its arrival. Earlier today, I talked with forecasters in Charleston as they followed the storm. This is the NexRad antenna at Charleston, South Carolina. From here, pulses of radio energy are sent out as much as 200 and 250 miles to sea. There, they bounce off raindrops and cloud droplets and come back to this very same antenna. The time it takes for that pulse to go out and come back tells us how far away those echoes are. But
But not only that, NexRad can measure subtle changes in the phase of that radio energy as it comes back. And by knowing that, we know something about the winds in that storm. We know something about the winds in Fran as it moves ever closer to the Carolina coastline.
We can see some winds, 50, 64 knots coming toward the radar. Not only will it help us in thunderstorms or with hurricanes and where they go, but it also helps us detecting severe weather since we can look at the winds in the thunderstorms and we have a better idea which ones will become severe as opposed to the old radar.
And it will be morning before we know exactly what the damage has been from this storm, but certainly the accurate tracking of this storm has helped considerably. Back to you, Ken.
All right, thanks, Jim, reporting from South Carolina. Well, Portlanders are also under the weather tonight, although our weather, gray skies and rain are the order of the day. What's ahead for tomorrow? Meteorologist Mark Nelson knows and has some answers. Mark?
Well, it looks like we're going to keep some clouds in the forecast for tomorrow, but more importantly, stay tuned because in 2 minutes I'll show you a lot of those images from back in Wilmington, North Carolina. Six NexRad weather is next.
You're watching Mark Nelson's Weather, named Oregon's best weathercast. This is News Center 6.
Well, hey, let's head right to the good stuff here. Let's put 6 NexRad to work. You can see here the southeast coast, Charleston, Cape Hatteras, and Wilmington, the center of Hurricane Fran right now in the middle of North Carolina, headed straight up to the north. Most of the rain up there, but let's look at some more interesting stuff. Look at the eye move across Cape Fear right here to the east of Wilmington during the afternoon and the evening. Now it's up to the north of Wilmington. Jim Little right about here, still getting some light rain. He should have a pretty nice morning tomorrow, 75 at daybreak. Now we can also use what's called a rainfall estimate from the NexRad radar at Wilmington, and you can see when the colors get into the purples, about an inch of rain has added up from this whole storm. By the time you get to the reds, over 3 inches in this whole area, and some of these areas around Wilmington, over 14 inches, the white spots. So very interesting. We can use the radar for a bunch of things. One other thing, real interesting, let me explain this, or try to explain this. The winds, the radar can detect winds, whether they're moving away from or towards the radar. Earlier, the cool colors coming into the storm were over here, and we had the northeast winds ahead of the storm. Now the cool colors are coming in towards the radar from the southwest. That means the storm has passed to the north, and the winds are swirling back into the storm. So we can use the NexRad radars for all sorts of interesting things. Back here in the northwest, we don't really need the radar tonight because there is not much in the way of rainfall going on. High pressure is over us. A warm front is trying to approach. A lot of clouds out here to the west. Jet stream is coming right over.